Mitakuyapi, Ampetukinde Awasi, Chante Washtea Nape Chuzapie, Ramona Kito Stately Imakiapie. I just gave you an introduction in the Dakota language, which is the language of Minnesota Makoche for over 14,000 years. This is the language of the people, and within this language, the words are codified, meaning they give us information about place. We have always lived here. We didn't come from any other place. Within the standard greeting, Hami Takuyapi, means all of life are my relatives, which gives you some insight into the philosophies of Minnesota's original people. Mani, which is the beginning of our state name, translates to water. But Ni alone means our very life force. This is a powerful word that tells us that water is life. Water must be protected. In 159 years of statehood, the decisions made by those who have no understanding of this concept have poisoned every lake and river in this state. Right now, the very last freshwater spring in this area is in danger of being polluted. We have a responsibility as the protectors of the headwaters of the Mississippi River to make better decisions because we are impacting people between here and the Gulf of Mexico. We have a responsibility to make decisions not for economic reasons, but for the health and welfare of the people so the people can live. Consider this. If all of the water was polluted, the people would die. If all of the people went away, the water would flourish.
Spring Valley Friends has been engaged with local First Nations groups, We Are Still Here Minnesota, and the American Indian Movement in response to the crisis of development and to understand truth of the sacredness of the Spring area, acknowledging Dakota territory and learning the area was called Mini Wakan in historical record.
Amitakiapi ha Dakota ia Chaitaska wa Chinwik a Tashunka wa Peoe Amakiapia. My English name is Janice Badmoccasin. Crow Creek, Hechia Tahawahia. I am from the Crow Creek, Hunkbati, Oyate, the nation. I live in Shakopee, Minnesota. I've been here since 1983 and actively supporting Oyate Nipikde, a spiritual movement for the well-being and spiritual wellness in our native communities. You know, go back to our oral stories of land and history and connection. These waters right away had, really gave me a connection here. You know, some natives grow up with trauma and I'm one of them, and I really healed with a lot of our ceremonies, and water was always a part of that ceremony.
I know on a personal level when I don't drink the water, I feel zapped and drained. And when I drink it, I kind of come to life. It re-energizes me, and it tastes really good. And I want my children and grandchildren to experience that too.
We like to come out here and, ground with the earth, let the water or let the ground, take the energy, that negative energy, that forget that this water and this land is sacred, that it's, a lot of times get forgotten and gets, mistreated and gets, and I kind of realize that.
Constantly there's people coming to get this medicine and filling their jugs, taking it home. I do that now. I come and take some water, I put some tobacco, give thanks. It's reciprocal, as when we give thanks to the water, the element, and we take. So I think there's maybe just taking and no reciprocal giving back. And I want them to experience that this is where your health comes from, is the land.
Land surrounding the spring has been recognized by the Department of Natural Resources as one of the last remaining prairie remnants. Comments from the DNR recommend that the land be brought to preservation.
I founded Friends of Coldwater in '01, and we're trying to save the last natural spring in the city. Minneapolis has lost the Great Medicine Spring in Theodore Wirth Park and also Glenwood Spring for development of Interstate 394 west out of the city.
There's two threats. One is the development arriving and the natural context of the space disappearing. I see so many children and families taking the time to walk around, to touch the water, to play, to meditate, the things that I've seen that happen immediately around that space. The city's plans after development comes will be dealing with that much more pollution, people, impervious surfaces, and we'll be missing the natural aspect of the space.
The spring is a local heritage preservation site. However, that heritage is specific to the settlers. What is missing from this history? There is a deeper truth that needs to be faced and understanding the cultural significance of this site.
Flawed engineering in the development plans puts the area at risk to landslide, jeopardizing the land. Archaeological testing on the property is insufficient, and there are suspected cultural resources that need to be accounted for.
As a part of the Spring Valley Friends group, I've done a lot more research about this area and found that we have ancestors buried here. And I also see very old cemeteries in the urban Minneapolis area, namely like on Lake Street. And I think you'd think they'd want to put condos there, right? But they won't, because why? And then here, it's kind of the same thing, but nobody's recognizing that, and that hurts.
Incremental development has been eating away at the prairie remnants and the known cemeterial mounds. In 2013, Pulte Homes built Reeder Ridge. Amongst the mounds, a cultural easement was established. Currently, residential lawn furniture sits on top of ancestors. We can look to St. Paul as a city that collaborated with First Nations to bring dignity to sacred burial sites. City of Eden Prairie's land acknowledgement indicates a commitment to learn the history of the land Eden Prairie is built on, to recognize, support, collaborate with, and advocate for Indigenous people, and to consider the convergence of legacies. We are still waiting.
This is one of the first medicines that's going to sustain us, as human beings. So I'm really growing to really care for this place, care for this area where our people probably walked, they left their imprints of, this is a beautiful place.
I'll say if you're a heritage person or someone who has privileges that came from colonialism, just take the invitation to let your guard down a little bit, and I'd say that's The most amazing thing for me has been being uncomfortable, allowing myself to be opened up into a richer life by examining these things in myself and taking accountability.